Hi, this is the voice of Heidie Calero with another economic capsule on the Puerto Rico economy. Today we are going to talk about playing catch-up with the forecast of GNP real growth in Puerto Rico. There are different entities that make the forecast, and I'm going to concentrate my evaluation, my analysis on the PROMESA fiscal board, on the agency, the Puerto Rico agency, AFAF, and also, last but not least, the Puerto Rico Planning Board. I don't want to continue without reminding you that you should subscribe, or I invite you to subscribe to YouTube, to the Voice of Heidie Calero, so you receive notifications on new economic capsules on the Puerto Rico economy. Let's look then at what the PROMESA, or Fiscal Board, has been forecasting since January of 2018 all the way to May 2020. There have been different sets, almost 8 sets of economic forecasts of GNP growth, and they look like a rainbow, but it just tells you the story behind all these forecasts is what are the real assumptions on which these forecasts are based, and least and worse still, if Puerto Rico economic policy recommendations are based on these forecasts, are they really on solid ground? Let's look at what the Fiscal Oversight Board was forecasting for 2018. Back in January of 2018, they said, well, you know, the Puerto Rico economy, just after Hurricane Maria that occurred in September 2017, is going to be in negative territory, negative 11.2%. You know what it ended up? In 2018, the Puerto Rico Planning Board, the official figure was negative 4.3%. So it just tells you it's a variety of forecasts which really calls into question either things that are not under the control of the fiscal board, but worse still, what are their assumptions? Let's look at 2019, a fiscal year that already ended. Our fiscal year runs from July 1st of one year through June 30th of the second year. So this is June 30th of 2019 when this fiscal year ended. And again, look at what the fiscal board forecasted, from 8.4% at some point in time to 7.8% real growth. And now the real forecast, the real GNP growth as per the Puerto Rico Planning Board was 1.5%. So again, the diversity is just too much. There is too much volatility in these forecasts. And look at 2020. This is a fiscal year that just finished on June 30th of 2020. And look at what the fiscal board is forecasting. Negative 4%. Negative growth, even though before it had forecasted positive economic growth. But let's look at another contrast now for fiscal 20 through fiscal 23 with only 3 entities. AFAF, that's the Puerto Rico government agency, PROMESA board, which is the light blue, and the Puerto Rico Planning Board, which is the mustard color. For 2020, the government agency is saying, hey, the Puerto Rico GNP growth is going to be negative 3.6%. PROMESA board says, no, it's going to be worse. It's going to be negative 4% growth. And worse still, the Puerto Rico Planning Board, the official agency that records all the national accounts, says, no, guys, you're all wrong. It's going to be even worse. It's going to be negative 5.4% real GNP growth. And notice what happens in 2021. Again, AFAF forecast negative 7.8, but look at the swing of the PROMESA board. No, it's going to be positive. Meager growth, but it's going to be positive, 0.5%. But look at what the Puerto Rico Planning Board is saying in its short-term forecast. It's negative 2%. So 2 negatives, and the Puerto Rico PROMESA board saying it's positive growth for 2021. And look at 2022 and 2023. The Puerto Rico Planning Board has not given us those forecasts, but we have the comparison of AFAF, which is a deep purple, and the PROMESA, the light blue. Again, notice the contrast. 1.5% positive growth, one government agency, AFAF, for 2022, and PROMESA board, negative 1.5%. I don't know about you, but I'm dizzy with all these forecasts. And then 2023, both say negative, but the Puerto Rico Promesa board says it's going to be more negative than what FAF is saying. And let's look all this together. What does it imply in terms of fiscal revenues? Because after all, the central government has a general fund with which the budget is done, with which essential services are provided, and above all, with all the debt service at some point in time, with those resources are going to be paid. Well, notice again, in 2020, the general fund revenues was forecasted by the Promesa board with $9.8 billion. It goes down in 2021 to $9.2 billion. It goes up by to $9.4 billion in 2022. Again, it goes down. It's zigzag. $9.1 billion by 2023. But what is most interesting is what is behind that total of the general fund revenue. Two important sources. Law Act 154, that's the one that provides the 4% from the multinational companies on their exports, and these US multinational companies so far can take them against their federal taxes, and IRS has allowed that. But when the governor of Puerto Rico went to pay a visit to the Secretary of Treasury in the United States, McNucci, last year, he already advised the governor of Puerto Rico, as of January 2020, please present a plan whereby Act 154 is declining because we are going to eliminate that exemption. Well, Act 154 is being forecasted here by the Promesa board, even though at a declining rate, but still above $1 billion. And notice the gray column, that's the sales and use tax. That's based on consumption. And again, it's even though it's sort of 1.8, 1.9 billion, 1.9, it sort of stays relatively in that range of less than $2 billion. But how is that going to take place when again they are talking about another executive order by this governor of Puerto Rico going back to more restrictive shutdowns in the island? And if that is closed consumption, how can you have SUT tax? And again, notice the importance of these two sources of the general fund. They represent from 33 almost to 39% of general fund revenues. Again, playing catch up with the forecast of GNP growth is of vital importance. Public policy decisions are being taken, and we must pay serious attention to the assumptions behind these forecasts. Until the next capsule, stay safe.